Podcast City Network.
Hey guys, and welcome to another exciting episode of Final Score, episode 123. We are now finally in October, and you know what that means. There's going to be a lot of great sports happening, including the return of NHL action, of course, getting into the thick of NFL and college action. So much going on, a lot of great stuff, but I can't do this today without the man, the myth, the legend himself, JDM. How you doing, bud?
What's going on, Final Score fans? It is good to be back here. Had to go on a little bit of a sabbatical because FTB won that damn Stanley Cup. It hurt. It was a long off season for me, boys. But it is great to be back here. Chris, you've been absolutely killing it on this show, man. I've been loving everything of it, doing what you can. And let me tell you, man, I'm just thrilled to get back here because October, it's as exciting as it can get. I'm ready to bring in the fire, bring in the Espanol. Dale, let's go.
Yes, let's do it. But before we jump in, you got to make sure to follow us on social media at PCN Final Score on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, and Instagram. Go on there and hit those like, follow, and subscribe buttons. Really helps us get the word out more of Final Score. And if you could take one more step for us, just one little one, and just hit those reaction and share buttons in the corners of this video, really helps us get out there, and we greatly appreciate everybody who does support the show. But let's jump into some college football, man. There's been a lot of craziness this whole weekend. Pro and college has been absolutely insane. Just so much that happened. But we're going to start right at the top with number 1, Alabama in the Final Score top 10. 5-0 now after beating Ole Miss. I should say whipping Ole Miss 42-21. Quarterback Bryce Young looking great. 20 of 26, 241 yards, 2 touchdowns. Looking sharp, man. What do you think about this Alabama squad?
I mean, come on, man. This Alabama squad, it's not even funny right now. It's not even fair. You have an O-line and a D-line. They win in the trenches ultimately, and then you have excellent weapons on the outside. I mean, this Alabama team is just running roughshod through everybody, and they're pretty much saying, hey, guess what? NCAA, you want to just go back to the 1-2 punch of this college playoff because nobody else can match up. Just give us the 2 seed, and we'll let you know what happens in the championship round and in the finals, because that's what Alabama's doing right now, man. Mm-hmm. They're just completely obliterating the concept of what a college football playoff should look like and could be by dominating from jump. You're going to have some guys in there going, maybe we should go back to the way we used to do it, because who the hell is going to match up with Alabama right now?
Yeah, exactly. Especially when you look at the run game, too. Brian Robinson Jr., 171 yards and 4 touchdowns. This was a dominant win against a ranked Ole Miss team. A lot of people thought that Alabama was going to be on upset alert going into this, but I don't think anybody can match with them right now. It's been absolutely insane. However, there might be just one team out there that could match up against them, and that's number 2, Georgia, sitting 5-0 after blanking out Arkansas 37-0. And it was crazy. You look at the Georgia rushing game, 56 carries, 273 yards, 3 touchdowns among all the backs. Zamir White leading with 2 touchdowns. Absolutely crazy how good this Georgia defense really is. What do you think?
That is going to be Alabama's only one true test, is that Georgia defense. Mm-hmm. It's going to be Alabama's offense against Georgia's defense. I mean, yeah, you could go down the line and say maybe a couple other teams maybe might be able to stack up, but nobody's defense is as fast as Georgia's. And that's what I like about Georgia's defense, is that they fly to the ball.
Yes.
And they are quick, all right? And they're not necessarily all, huge, but, man, they fly to the ball.
Yeah, they definitely fly to the ball, and they always are good at hunting out the turnovers, getting the big hits. It's crazy how you see this defense play. It's really remarkable. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I've only allowed 16 points on the entire season. That's 5 games, only 16 points. Absolutely insane. So definitely going to see if Georgia and Alabama do match up in the SEC title game, which would be the only way they would play. man, that's going to be one hell of a game. But looking at our number 3 team, Iowa, now quietly moving themselves up to 3-5-0 after beating previously unbeaten Maryland 51-14. Absolutely killing it with turnovers, 7 defensive turnovers, 6 of which were picks. Absolutely crazy. What do you think of this Iowa squad?
I love these DBs, man. These DBs of Iowa are ball hawks, and that's really going to be the key for them in the college football playoff. If they can continue this trend and wind up going to the college football playoff, hey, a pick 6 in college will turn everything around.
Absolutely.
All right. So you never really know with Iowa. They are one of those surprise teams for me, along with Cincinnati, that's a little bit further down this top 10 list. That's really kind of come out of nowhere, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
You know, from a college football standpoint, you expected other teams to be here. You expected, teams to watch. You expected, I don't know, Michigan maybe to be here. I don't know. Is it something to say? Notre Dame. I know you're still lingering around there somewhere, even though that might have hurt. But
yeah, we'll get to that in a little bit.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get to that. But I gotta say, Penn State coming in at number 4. Also at 5-0, had a very solid win over Indiana. Complete game, 24-0. Sean Clifford went for $178, not too much, but 3 touchdowns. Kevon Lee had just 8 carries and 74 yards, but that defense shut out Indiana completely.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about Penn State looking? How does Penn State looking? And hey, tell me it's not awesome seeing that whiteout.
It is awesome seeing that whiteout, and honestly, seeing Penn State quietly getting themselves to 4 here. They still have a lot of tests left when it comes to teams like Ohio State, namely, and it's going to be interesting to see how their season goes. They've been doing great to this point, but I want to see a little bit more from them, because I could see them being one of those teams that could get upset if they're not careful. So they definitely need to find a little more. Indiana, though, is a good squad. I'm not taking anything away from Indiana. They are a good squad, and they were previously ranked, so it's not like they're any slouch, but come on, they're not the Ohio States of the world. So definitely going to have to make sure they're playing top ball once they get to those big challenges down the road. Just like number 5 Cincinnati, who rose to the challenge against Notre Dame, ended up winning 24-13. Yes, it stung a lot, but Desmond Ridder did have a great game, 19-32, 297, 2 touchdowns. But most of that going to his wide receiver, Alec Pierce, 6 receptions, 144 yards. That dude's got talent. And they just were able to stymie Notre Dame all the way throughout the game. So, and definitely capitalize on big moments. It's hard. What do you think about Cincinnati?
Yeah, you know what? I gotta give credit to the coaching staff of Cincinnati. They were very well prepared. Mm-hmm. They knew what Notre Dame was going to throw at them. And it wasn't really any big plays on defense. It was just stopping them at the right time, drawing up a blitz at the right time, at a very opportune time on a 3rd and 5, just keeping them out of field goal range, something like that. And then all of a sudden, Notre Dame's like, what? We can't get any momentum. We can't get anything rolling against this team. And, Jack Cohn, he needs that momentum. He needs that momentum to throw the ball, and it just didn't help for him. It was more of a combination of Cincy's coaching and Notre Dame not coming through, because I really feel like Notre Dame lost that game a little bit.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. And they did, have a couple moments where they could have pulled themselves back into this and let Cincinnati kind of just walk all over them defensively. So it was not the greatest game Notre Dame's played, and it also snapped their 26-game home winning streak, which was 2nd longest in the nation. Just absolutely was sad all the way around. But another team, though, that somehow is still lingering in the top 10, number 6, Oklahoma, 5-0 after beating Kansas State 37-31. Spencer Rattler being a little bit more on point, but still having some turnover issues, 243 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. But Oklahoma has had so many near calls, it's hard to keep justifying them being in the top 10. What do you think, man?
I think Oklahoma is just in the top 10 based off of schedule at this point. I mean, come on, just they're hitting teams at the opportune time. Kansas State is a great team and, on the rise, but they're also a shell of their former selves.
Mm-hmm.
They've lost a lot of players to the NFL. They built a very good program there, but they're still on not necessarily a quote-unquote rebuild, but they're revamping. They're still a good squad, but they're still revamping themselves. And Oklahoma's just running into a bunch of teams like that. So, I mean, they're going to be very upset when they hit, later on down the season and they get completely slaughtered by a team that's ready to play.
Mm-hmm. And they're definitely going to have a huge test come next week with Texas in the Red River rivalry. So, we'll have a little bit more on that later, but it's definitely going to be interesting to see how the rest of their season progresses, especially if they make it by Texas. So, who knows, really? Another team, though, who was scraping by until they got themselves a huge win. Number 7, Ohio State. So currently 4-1 after beating Rutgers 51-13, literally beating the brakes off them. Quarterback C.J. Stroud looking extra sharp, 330 through the air with 5 touchdowns. Man, is Ohio State back on track now?
It is quite possible that Ohio State is back on track, even though that particular game, it could have gone a little bit better, I feel. They made a few mistakes, some mental mistakes that I didn't like, but Ohio State's back on track. We'll definitely see what happens in a, Big Ten championship matchup.
Oh, yeah, and Ohio State still has some challenges themselves going forward against Michigan, and it's gonna be real interesting, especially when they also have the Penn State game looming as well, which will be a huge test. So we'll definitely see how it works out for the Buckeyes. But the one team that was able to beat the Buckeyes so far, number 8, Oregon, suffering their first loss of the season, falling 31-24 to Stanford in surprising fashion. Stanford looks sharp, man. What do you think?
I like Stanford, man. I really do. I think Stanford, they looked good. I don't know how they lost this damn game to Oregon. I really don't. Excuse me. Sorry. Whoa. Flip that. Reverse it. I was very surprised by Stanford. They absolutely looked extremely sharp. I'm surprised that Oregon lost this game to Stanford because talent-wise, they are a lot better than that. Can you really put that much blame on that they were missing a few coaching staffs due to, I think it was COVID protocol or an illness or something like that? I mean, do you really need to rely on them that much? I mean, come on. I think they got in their own damn heads and just lost it. But Stanford looked good, dude. Stanford looked really good.
Yeah, Stanford did look good. And it seemed like the only thing that went well for Oregon was the rushing game, 228 on the ground with 3 touchdowns total. But it just seemed like they stymied the passing game. Anthony Brown thrown for just over 50% and the turnover. So, I mean, Stanford's either that good or Oregon just got caught on a bad day, one or the other. But I don't think this is the last we've seen of Oregon. Still ranked in the top 10 as of now, so we'll definitely see how it goes for them through the rest of the season. But coming in quietly also at number 9, you mentioned them earlier, Michigan, 5-0 after beating Wisconsin 38-17. The Michigan defense forcing 3 turnovers in that game. The Wolverines seem like they're back, and they're starting to get some sound victories. What do you think so far?
The Wolverines are back? That's like claiming that the Hurricanes are back every year. That the U swag comes back every year. You know what? The shoe just hasn't dropped yet for Michigan. The shoe has not dropped yet for Coach Harbaugh and that squad. As sooner or later, that big ass boot is gonna fall, and they're gonna be like, "What happened to Michigan? Oh no, we suck again." And it's just going to be all over, for that Michigan squad. Eventually, the shoe's going to drop. I do like their defense. They did force 3 turnovers in this game. But, hey, buddy, I don't know, Craig. I'm calling you. You tell me I'm wrong, Craig. Tell me I'm wrong. I know you're out there and you're still honeymooning and, living it up, bud, and we wish you nothing but the best. But, hey, bro, I don't think so, man. Let me know. Shoot me a message. Let me know, Craig. Is the shoe going to drop?
I don't know. We'll find out. But our number 10 team, BYU, 5-0, one of the largest ranked independents right now in college football, even ahead of Notre Dame now. It's crazy to see what BYU's been able to do being an independent. Beat Utah State 34-20. Had a great rushing game from Tyler Algier, 22 carries, 218 yards, three touchdowns, playing absolutely great ball. Man, BYU, they haven't been really this good or even ranked, I think, this high in decades, really. What do you think of this squad so far?
This squad is playing fast. This running back is elusive. What was it? 218, 3 touchdowns in that win over Utah State. But then again, you watch that Alabama game and you tell yourself, is BYU a team that's going to upset Alabama?
Oh, I mean, crazier things have happened.
Yes, crazier things have happened, but it's one of those situations where it's like, man, BYU is the reason why we're doing this college football playoff extended, so they can showcase themselves, and they're gonna run into a buzzsaw eventually, but at least they get to be here. It's like, hey, wait, we got invited, but it's eventually the party's gonna be over. But BYU's still a solid team, and they deserve. As a school, they do deserve this top 10 ranking.
Absolutely, I agree. They definitely are a good team, and the program definitely doing a lot to be able to get themselves back to national prominence. So great to kind of see them up here now. But that does complete the Final Score top 10. We're going to look at some of our teams to watch that are just outside the top 10, starting with number 11, Michigan State, now 5-0 after beating Western Kentucky 48-31. Man, Sparty's quietly going up there, and that's going to be something to look out for when you look at some of our top 10 teams, man. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm looking at these top 10 teams. You do have Oklahoma State, Michigan State, Kentucky. Can we talk about Kentucky for a minute?
Oh, yeah, another team to watch.
Crap. I think Kentucky, out of all these teams to watch, at rank 16, is one of the better teams to watch. They remind me a little bit about, Georgia in terms of a fast defense. Because Florida, with that 2013 win over the Gators, they were flying on the ball. They were ball hawks, and they were team tackling, and they were flying to the ball and very fast on the edges for defense. And that's what can really change a game for you. So Kentucky's going to be a team to watch for sure.
Absolutely. And like you also had mentioned, Oklahoma State, who figures to end up being the top class of the Big 12, especially if they can pull it off against Oklahoma this year. And they got a nice win over Baylor, 24-14. But another team that nobody, I think, is really thinking about, Coastal Carolina at 15, 5-0 after beating UL Monroe 59-6. Not saying they're going to be Bama beaters, but, man, you got to give it up for this squad.
I'll give it up for this squad. They're making a name for themselves. They, are not just beating people, they're blowing them out. And that's what you got to do early in a program when you want to maybe make a move or make a jump to a bigger or a better conference. You got to completely wipe through the competition, go undefeated, win your title, to be considered for other, conferences. And heck, with everybody wanting to move to the damn SEC, there's going to be some open slots. So, you're making the move now, so it's a solid move to make for Coastal Carolina. But only time will tell with that school and that program.
Absolutely, and they definitely still have a lot to prove. Still a young season, but some games to watch for this upcoming week are going to be very interesting to see how the rest of the season takes shape. And we got 4 games this week that you need to watch out for, starting with the Red River rivalry between Oklahoma and Texas, which will be Saturday, 12 p.m. on ABC. And we'll see if Texas might be able to pull a top 10 upset. What do you think about this game?
I want to say that Texas will. I know I got some cousins that are graduates from Texas that'll be throwing up the hook 'em horns all day. I don't think they'll be able to do it. I still think Oklahoma finds a way to squeak out another victory, and we just sit there and go, how the hell is Oklahoma a top 5?
Yeah, I agree. I think Oklahoma's going to squeak it out, and it's going to be just one of those other games that you look at Oklahoma and say, still top 10?
Yeah, exactly.
Or
so it's almost like that last person at the party that just won't leave, and you're like, you still here?
Yeah,
like,
right.
I'm in PJs now.
Yeah.
Like, you're still here?
Please exit stage right. But no, our next game to watch though is between number 13 Arkansas and number 17 Ole Miss. Also Saturday, 12 p.m. on ESPN. Both teams looking for bounce backs after losing to the top two teams in the nation. And this one, I think both teams are going to have a lot to prove. What do you think?
Oh, 100%. You're talking about two teams that want to prove that one loss was to a championship caliber team. Mm-hmm. And they're going to come out firing. And they're going to say, look, hey, we lost to a potential national championship, but we deserve to be in the top 10. So especially if Arkansas or Ole Miss gain a lead, they better not sit back. They better push the gas pedal and prove that maybe they can get back into the top 10. You know, they don't want to just sit back and just wait. I know that next game, though, that we're going to talk about, that number 2 Georgia versus the 18 Auburn, that's going to be a game. That is going to be one hell of a game, I think. Georgia at 5-0, Auburn at 4-1 on CBS at 3:30 p.m. Chris, what's your take on this Georgia matchup?
Well, I think Auburn's been playing some pretty good ball up to this point. Obviously, they're 4-1 and are ranked 18, so that does account for something. I still think Georgia's going to be the much better team, and I think they're going to end up outclassing Auburn, and this could potentially have blowout implications on it because Georgia has just been so dominant no matter who they go against. And the closest win the closest win that they've had this season was against Clemson. So, and it's Clemson. So you can't count out what Georgia's been able to do, especially defensively, which has been absolutely dominant. And I think Georgia's going to take this one. And I think they're going to take it handedly, just flat out handedly, man. But this game will be Saturday, 3:30 p.m. on CBS. So definitely make sure to check it out. But the big matchup of the weekend, and I'm so surprised College Game Day chose the Red River rivalry over this game. Number 4 Penn State versus number 3 Iowa. Both teams 5-0. Saturday, 4 p.m. on Fox. This game is probably the biggest game Iowa has played in since the 80s. And this figures that if Iowa can pull this off, they can really stamp themselves as a legitimate national championship contender. What do you think about this one, JDM?
Well, I say whichever team wins this game can say, I am here to stay. I am a legit national championship contender, whether it's Penn State or Iowa. The mere fact that College Game Day did not go to Iowa means that maybe they ran out of corn. I don't know, but it's a horrible decision by them from marketing because, hello, you are coming back to the college football season, and what better way than to be in areas that you don't get to go to often for a big game. Like, somebody should have changed it up completely and said, hey, we're going. We need to go right away to Iowa because they haven't been a top 10 team or top 5 team since the 80s. And that's what really stands out to me is that I think it's a snub, and Iowa's going to take that as a snub, and they are going to pull this off and say, you're going to snub us? You're not going to come out here for game day? You're going to put us on the back burner, against a big team? All right, we'll show you what you got.
And it's definitely going to be interesting. I can't wait to watch this game. It's going to be so exciting. But that is our college football top 10 and our games to watch. Definitely make sure to check back next week as we bring you the updated top 10 and results from this next week's game. It's going to be really exciting stuff. But we got to tell you a little bit about all these content platforms we're on. JDM, what can you tell us about that?
Oh, man, are you kidding me? All these content platforms, you've been just across the board killing it because guess what? Audio, you want to hear just our beautiful voices? Go to Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, Pandora, iTunes, or TuneIn, Stitcher, Podbean, Google Podcast, Player, Bullhorn, you name it, we're there. If you want to see these beautiful mugs, just go over to YouTube and see the video version as well. Search keyword PCN Final Score, una palabra, or also go to podcastcity.net/finalscore. Don't forget, hit the like, follow, and subscribe buttons. Because guess what? We do this in, day out. Chris, you just keep the train moving. No matter who's available, man, you keep it freaking going. I don't know, man. We're gonna call you Chris Train Mullet at this point because that hair is awesome.
Yeah,
Just
man.
keep it going.
Nice
dude.
and fluffy. But we got to talk about something serious now, and it's the very simple fact that your wife beats you at fantasy football. And
over and over again. It's getting. Welcome to my hell, Chris. All right. You know, I don't want to pull it out, but the trophy is still there for the 3-time champ. Yeah, you heard it right. 3-time champ wife of mine, whom I love dearly, beats me in fantasy football. the pause is getting longer and longer. That sooner or later somebody is gonna like call the cops in between the pause.
And be like, "Oh my God, is JDM okay?"
I'm letting you know, guys, I'm not okay. Currently, the wife is 3-1, and naturally, I am 1-3.
Oof.
It's not great, guys, but you know what? I got some tips, all right, and they're not from me. These are the things that my wife has done to be at 3-1 for your fantasy football leagues. Welcome to our segment, My Wife Beats Me in Fantasy Football. Draft strategy was very simple, Chris. Check this out. Anybody injured last year or currently was passed. Just straight up. If you were suffering an injury last year and you missed more than 4 games, you were passed on her draft board.
Inconceivable!
Yeah, exactly. Because you know what? The NFL also stands for not for long. We don't know when these running backs are going to be injured or hurt. Her 2 running backs were Chris Carson and Anton Gibson, both who weren't stellar last year, but guess what? They didn't miss more than 5 games.
Good point.
She just continues to find key players for certain positions. Quarterback, Justin Herbert. Can we talk about the season that this kid is having?
Oh, I have him on one of my fantasy teams too.
Exactly. So a key young stud of a quarterback in Justin Herbert, who's been nothing but sensational. Kind of reminds me of what the Dolphins' alternate universe could be. Thank you very much for Dolphin management continually making us cry. Her first round pick, she went bold and went with Travis Kelce.
Oof, that is bold.
Yeah, very bold. So, but guess what? She's still 3-1.
Can't argue with it.
Can't argue with it. So, you look at her scores, and I swear to you, it's just like a consistent 10 points from every single position. And then Travis Kelce goes off in one game. Justin Herbert goes off in another game. Terry McLennan goes off in another game, gets 30-something. Another player that you're like, maybe, maybe not. Boom. Completely hits it. Here's some big pickups. And I swear to you, she does this every year just by looking at the damn stats. She picked up Cordell Patterson after week 1. Who the hell would have picked up Cordell Patterson after week 1?
Man,
Guess what?
He just had a 30 burger too.
Yes, he did. And he actually had a 20 burger against Tampa in week 2.
Oh, man.
And she picked him up based on that week 1, he was projected like at 2 points and ended up with 9. So always looking at what their projected stats are and if they constantly outperform those projected stats. No flashy names that you've seen before. Stay away from the, Crowders and the Samuels, because guess what? They're getting injured too much and they'll probably be on the shelf again. So unless you actually have a roster spot to fill them in, don't waste the roster spot. Hold on what you have currently. So pickups, Cordell Patterson. Don't go for those flashy players. Hold on those roster spots. Also a couple other ones to look for. Nakeem Hines with the Colts. Carson Wentz, you know him. He loves checkdowns. As a matter of fact, Checkdowns is probably going to be the name of his restaurant when he retires.
Yeah, Checkdown Wentz.
Yeah, Checkdown Wentz. Easily going to be one of those things. And then also Dalton Schultz, tight end for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, I picked him up recently.
Yeah, very solid pickup. And here's another fun fact. She stays away from the Cowboys receivers. You say, wait a minute, why are you staying away from the Cowboys receivers, right? Well, simply put, they don't get more than 5 targets a game. But guess who gets 7 or 8 targets a game? Both tight ends. That Cowboys offense is running through Dak Prescott, Zeke Elliott, and the tight ends right now. And they're putting up some serious points.
Very true.
So that's your fantasy advice. Not from me, because remember, I'm 1-3. And that's your fantasy advice from my wife, who beats me in fantasy football. Thank you very much.
Always great stuff, JDM. And I'm so sorry that your wife beats you at fantasy football. That does bring us to our merch store. Oh, it's too good. You can definitely get the latest and greatest Final Score gear at the PCN shop because they have what you need, whether it's a neck gaiter to protect you from COVID-19, a mug for your morning coffee, or a t-shirt just to look cool. They got you covered. Get the latest apparel and gear for your favorite podcast and Podcast City Network by visiting podcastcity.net/shop and checking out the lineup. And the link is also in the description of our video, so you can go right there, click right on it, and go right to the shop and check out all the greatness that we have there. But taking a look at our NFL predictions, Week 5 edition, definitely going to be interesting. Last week, like we said, crazy week of football. I went 7-9. JDM, even you went 7-9. Definitely was some rough weeks for us, but we still try to make it happen, man. It was a crazy week of football.
Absolute crazy week of football. So I have a class that I teach for some young adults with unique abilities with my work, and we have a little sports report class. And our class, we went 7-9, man. We talk a little bit. We make some random predictions. They're going to be a little upset that they ended up going 7-9 too, because they want that winning record. They want that winning record. But I said, hey, on any given Sunday, you can either win or you can lose.
Like they say.
Question is, can you win or lose like a man?
Exactly. So definitely going to be interesting. I think this week we got a lot of great matchups, and we're going to start with our Thursday night game, the 3-1 LA Rams at the 2-2 Seattle Seahawks. Rams coming off that very disappointing loss, but Seattle just kind of muddling themselves to 2-2, which is also kind of surprising. I think the Rams, though, have the edge here with a much better defense. And, of course, Matt Stafford, who you can never count out, and the best receiver currently in the league in most statistical categories, that is, Cooper Kupp. So I'm going to give the edge to the Rams here and think they're going to take this one home, push themselves to 4-1, and just keep the ball rolling. What do you think, JDM?
100%. I say the Rams make it a nightmare for Russell Wilson. And guess what's going to happen next week on ESPN, because, they're just awesome about badgering you over the head with content of the same damn meshes over and over again, is, oh, wait, but they used this before. They already repeated this. Russell Wilson's going to be upset. He's going to want to leave Seattle. He doesn't like his offensive line. He wants to go to the Met Gala with Sierra and his wife instead. So, that's going to be the storyline from the get-go, because Aaron Donald is going to be in his kitchen. He's going to wave to Sierra and be like, hey, make my eggs over easy, please.
Oh, it's too good. It's too good. I love it.
Bringing the fire today, bro.
Bringing the fire today. I love it, man. But hold on, we gotta do it. There it is. But looking at our Sunday slate of games, we get a nice early kickoff, 9:30 a.m. for our Sunday of holy football from London. The 1-3 New York Jets versus the 1-3 Atlanta Falcons. And the Jets finally getting their first win in surprising fashion, making it happen offensively. Defense, they did decent. Only so much you can say about the Jets. But the Falcons, they've been having a lot of problems defensively. Offense has been kind of sputtery here and there. Both these teams really not in good places. Both 1-3 for a reason. But I think in this crap bowl that we're going to have in London, I'm going to go ahead and go with the Jets. I think the defense is going to come through a little bit better than the Falcons, and they're going to be able to get this W. What do you think, JDM?
I'm going to have to say I apologize to London. This is just not what we should be sending them. Way to go, NFL. I mean, that's like saying, hey, let's have a stadium NHL series with Buffalo again, because that seems like a great idea.
Yeah.
Dude, what the hell, man? Pull this game from London. You don't need this many games in London, especially with this crap bowl. But you know what happens in London? For whatever reason, sprinters are going to sprint. And I see the Falcons and Calvin Ridley having a big day. And I say the Falcons come away with the win in London. Something about the turf, maybe it's the tea and crumpets, whatever it is, they're going to have a lot of speed in this game. And I really think the Falcons will come away with it.
Oh, interesting pick. I like it. Hopefully the tea and crumpets come through. Looking at our 1 p.m. games, we got the 3-1 Green Bay Packers visiting the surprising 3-1 Cincinnati Bengals. This one I think is going to be a better game than most people expect. I think Cincinnati's going to be playing very well defensively. I think they'll be able to move the ball offensively, but it won't be enough because Aaron Rodgers, no matter how much time is left on the clock, he will be able to make magic happen. And I think the Packers are going to take this one and move themselves to 4-1. JDM, what do you think?
I'm with the Packers all the way. I'm a cheesehead in that sense. I mean, I can down a cheese in 2.2 seconds, which is just as fast as Aaron Rodgers gets the ball out of his hands.
Ooh.
And that's what he's been doing, right? He's been just getting the ball quickly out of his hands, using multiple targets. It doesn't matter who. And if Aaron Jones continues to run the ball hard, I mean, that is going to be a huge key to the game. Aaron Rodgers is up there like a general, and I think Joe Burrow gets a little bit of a reality check. He's playing well. He's having a better second season like expected, but he's still got a long way to go for a first overall pick. I really think that he's not going to come into his own yet right away. So he's still got some growth, and it comes down to the running game. I don't think the Bengals running game is as good as the Packers running game right now, and that's where it's going to be the key.
I absolutely agree. And we got Aaron Rodgers going out there playing the way he has, too. He's just going out there saying,
I'm pissed now.
So, he's just making it happen. But looking at our next game, we got the 0-4 Detroit Lions visiting the 1-3 Minnesota Vikings. And it's crazy to think that this is the bottom of the barrel of the NFC North. But, hey, this is what you get. So, Lions looking dismal, only having spurts of times where they look good, but they always make horrific game-altering mistakes that end up costing them the W, and I think because of that, Minnesota is going to be able to capitalize and be able to take this one and move to 2-3. What do you think, JDM?
Oh, 100%. The Detroit Lions are shooting for that coveted two seasons without a win, because why not? Let's just, pile it on in Detroit. Sorry, man, Craig. I don't know what to do, Craig. He's living the life over there, but, dude, the teams are just not putting it up for him.
True.
There's no defense for the Detroit Lions right now. Dalvin Cook is healthy. He is going to run around. And Kirk Cousins is playing some pretty decent football. He usually super mistakes, Kirk Cousins, but right now he's finding his receivers well. Justin Jefferson has played excellent ball, has become a very solid route runner. I like the Vikings in this game 100%.
Definitely going to be a good one, man.
Yeah, for sure. And you know what? Next up, we got the Denver Broncos at 3-1 going to the Steel City to play against the Pittsburgh Steelers at 1-3. That's an interesting switch right there. Denver 3-1, Steelers 1-3. Chris, who you got?
Oh, man, I think I'm going to lean on the Broncos to be able to take this one home against the Steelers, who offensively, outside of Najee Harris, just don't look good. Ben Roethlisberger looking like a shell of his former self. And let's not look now, but his athletic ability seems to be slipping too. Dude can trip over a blade of grass at this point. So absolutely dismal what they've been able to do this season. So I think I'm going to say the Broncos are going to take this one and be able to take it pretty decently. What do you think?
No, 100%. Broncos all the way. Their defense is back. Teddy Bridgewater is managing the game very well. which is, what I like from him, and that's what he can do because he just needs to rely on that defense. Let the Broncos let Ben make a mistake because it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
The Ben, I should have retired Roethlisberger. Sorry, but it's going to be a long day for you tomorrow. Next up, Florida battle. The Miami Dolphins, sorry, couldn't help it. The Miami Dolphins at 1-3 going at Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 3-1. And the Miami Dolphins, guess what they get? Oh, just a familiar face of somebody that's whooped their ass for centuries. Who do you got in this game, Chris?
Oh, man, the Tom Brady effect is real, and I think Tom Brady's just going to carry over what he did to the Dolphins in the AFC East and just bring it on over through interconference play. And if I'm not mistaken, Miami's still going to be without Tua Tagovailoa, still having to rely on Jacoby Brissett, which we've seen that really hasn't worked out in their favor so far. I think the Tampa Bay Bradyneers end up winning this one pretty handedly and move to 4-1.
100%. They just continue to roll. I expect Leonard Fournette to have himself a big game and just take away lots of time on that clock and just, not give the Dolphins any kind of room, any kind of air. The Dolphins right now are just an absolute dumpster fire, and you see it happening. Tua goes down, and all of a sudden the wheels come off. You can't be relying that much on a quarterback that's so injury prone. Bottom line.
Very true. Very true. But looking at our next game, we got a battle of 2-2 teams between the New Orleans Saints and the Washington football team. And this one's going to be interesting, especially for the Saints, because it seems like they kind of get a Jekyll and Hyde right now out of Jameis Winston, who has not been able to stay consistent throughout the season. One game he looks great, the next one he looks like hot garbage. So it's really hard to kind of gauge where this team is at right now. However, the Washington football team with Heineke at quarterback have been able to play decent, but not always able to pull it out. And I honestly have to give the edge here to the Saints, with also defenses will come into play. Washington definitely does have a good one. I think they'll be able to do some damage on the Saints, but I think the Saints are going to be able to weather the storm just enough to edge this one out. What do you think, JDM?
This is a close game, and I really felt like a team that wins in this matchup can maybe even trend their season upward and, start making a run. Based on winning this game and moving to 3-2. I like the Washington Football Club because they will always be the club to me. I do like Gibson at running back and Chase Young on defense. I think Chase Young, he gives Winston some problems. Winston and that coaching staff, that's my problem right there. His Jekyll and Hyde is coming from, hey, if it's not working for me, I don't know, why don't we just throw it to one of the best running backs in the league and Alvin Kamara? Like, why are we not just giving it him if it's not working out for Winston? I think their losses aren't so much Winston's fault, but also play calling. You have a streaky quarterback. If he's not streaky, give it to Kamara. Manage the game. You have a good defense too. And I think Washington outcoaches the Saints in this game, and they pull it out.
Oh, man, definitely a great pick. Look at you go over there, JDM, making all these picks. But our next game is a harder one for me to pick because it is my 1-3 Philadelphia Eagles traveling on to Charlotte to take on the 3-1 Carolina Panthers. This one was difficult because I like to try and justify how this team, the Eagles that is, could win this game. However, that's only if I were coaching and calling the shots, which anybody can be, a good old couch coach. So I have to be realistic with myself that Sam Darnold and company are playing great football right now, have both one of the best defenses in the league that's going to be giving Philadelphia a fit of problems. The Eagles will score, but this game is going to end up, I think, being more of like a 10-point game, and it's going to end up going the Panthers' way, and the Panthers move to 4-1. What do you think, JDM?
I'm picking the Panthers as well. Bright side for you, Chris, is that the Eagles, even at 1-3, are trending upwards. They are not the Dolphins at 1-3. Trust. It could be a lot worse for you. Jalen Hurts will have himself a solid game. I do feel like the O-line needs to improve for the Eagles, and that is where the battle is going to be lost. The Carolina Panthers front four and front seven even are fast and quick. They cause problems, and Sam Darnold is playing some great ball right now. He's putting the ball where he needs to put it. They are going to be, I think, without Christian McCaffrey. He's still lingering or a game time decision right now in terms of playing. So that really does hurt Carolina, but it didn't hurt them last week because Sam Darnold just managed the game well, threw the ball when he needed to, hit his receivers in stride, and let the defense take care of it on the other end. And I think the Panthers will do the same. Moving on to our next game, Tennessee Titans. Can we talk about the Tennessee Titans and all the hype that they had? Are now at 2-2, and they get to go play Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars at 0-4. Do the Jaguars get their first win of the year, Chris?
Oof. I mean, that's a stretch. We're talking about Jacksonville Jaguars franchise that's dealing with the distractions of Urban Meyer right now, with him feeling all up on a woman and all that kind of stuff. So they're having enough problems as it is. There's a reason they're 0-4. Still trying to break in Trevor Lawrence as a rookie quarterback, and hasn't been going the greatest for him, as you can see with the 0-4 start. But the Tennessee Titans were last week without their top two wide receivers, which makes a huge impact on an offense. Don't know if they're actually going to be available for this game yet or not. However, you still have the king himself, Derrick Henry, running back there, and this Jacksonville Jaguars defense will let up points. So I think they're going to be able to get the job done on the ground with Derrick Henry and be able to ride him all the way to a win and push themselves to 3-2. What do you think, JDM?
I agree with you there, man. I think the Tennessee Titans and King Derrick Henry will just run the rock straight down the Jacksonville Jaguars, throat. Trevor Lawrence is very upset, I hear from, all kinds of sources, that he wasn't invited to the Urban Meyer after party, with that long hair. I think he's just upset about that. He really wanted to go. And I just think it's not a good mix right now in Jacksonville, and it's a shame. Because this happens, you get the first overall pick and it's a stud quarterback, and you bring in the coach, but guess what? It's not jiving. And that is key right there. The head coach and the first overall quarterback pick has to jive. And I don't think it is right now, and it's a shame because they do have some weapons out there. Mm-hmm. They got 3 receivers that can really run. They got an undrafted running back who can run the ball. But it comes down to the trenches, and the trenches there in Jacksonville, it sucks.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And we'll definitely see how that one turns out. I think Jaguars are going to have too many distractions, I think, throughout the rest of the season with this whole Urban Meyer thing, to be honest. So it's going to be interesting. But our next game, we got the 1-3 New England Patriots traveling on down to Houston to take on the 1-3 Texans. And the Patriots, you have to give them credit, fought so hard against Tampa Bay and Tom Brady, almost narrowly pulled out a win if they hadn't just missed that last field goal. So you got to give them credit. This team is a good 1-3 team. Don't let the record lie to you. However, Houston is not a good 1-3 team and are down to David Mills at quarterback. Still don't have Tyrod Taylor back, and I think this is going to be a long game for the Texans. I think the Patriots are going to win this, and I think they're going to win it handily, mainly thanks to Mac Jones. What do you think, JDM?
I'm with the Patriots as well, Chris. The Patriots are the best 1-3 team, and they're up there over some 2-2 teams. Don't let that record fool you. Mac Jones has shown me something, all right, that he knows how to go through his progressions. The accuracy and the strength and when to really throw the bomb will come, but he's using Jacoby Myers quite a bit the last 2 games, and that is a great security blanket for him. I feel that him and Jacoby Myers will hook up again for another 12-something targets, and I do like the Patriots, and I do like their defense over the Houston Texans.
Absolutely. But looking at our 4:05 games, we have the 2-2 Chicago Bears coming off of their surprising win, traveling on down to Las Vegas to take on the 3-1 Raiders, who just sadly lost on Monday night to the LA Chargers. This one, though, I think the Vegas Raiders have a lot to prove, are going to be playing with a huge chip on their shoulder, while the Bears are still breaking in Justin Fields at quarterback. Great to see him get his first win, but they're going to be going against, I think, a much more improved team in the Raiders. I think the Raiders are going to be able to get the job done, get Derek Carr rolling, and are going to be able to take this one in decent fashion and push themselves to 4-1. What are your thoughts, JDM?
100%. The Vegas Raiders are coming in, and they are just going to welcome the Chicago Bears and let that Vegas effect take place. People going into Vegas, you call it, whether it's football or whether it's hockey, there is a Vegas effect. You get blinded by the lights, and you get, it's like a magician trick. Look over here, look over here. Oh, guess what? Darren Waller's got 3 touchdowns. And the next thing you know, that's it for your day. So definitely the Raiders are going to want to get Waller more involved. I felt like there was, some play calling in the Monday night game where they didn't get him involved as much. It's going to be a heavy Waller day for the Chicago Bears defense, and the Raiders take this one without a problem. But let me tell you something. This is my next game that I am dying to watch. This 405 game, the Cleveland Browns at 3-1 at the LA Chargers, also at 3-1, with a phenomenal showing on Monday Night Football where Austin Eckler was just in charge. Justin Herbert was absolutely in charge, using receivers and tight ends that you didn't even know existed. It was a phenomenal game from the Chargers, and I like the Chargers in this game. What do you think, Chris?
Well, I think the Chargers are definitely going to play a spirited game, especially coming off that huge win against the Raiders to put themselves 3-1. However, I think the Cleveland Browns have a top-notch defense that the Chargers have not been able to encounter yet, led by Myles Garrett, who's been playing out of his mind so far this season. And I think that Browns defense is going to be able to cause enough troubles. This one's going to be close, but I think the Browns are going to be able to edge this one out against the Chargers in an extremely close game. I'm talking field goal or less. And the Browns are going to take this one and push themselves to 4-1. But looking at I'm saying, man,
I got the Chargers, man. I don't know. That's a tough one. That's a toss-up, dude.
It is a toss-up. It really is. That's why I'm saying it's going to be a close game no matter what. So we'll definitely see how that one works out.
That's game of the week right there, boys.
Absolutely, game of the week right there. But looking at our 425 games, then you got the 1-3 New York Giants traveling on down to Dallas to take on the Cowboys at 3-1. Dallas playing some spirited football with Dak Prescott back in the lineup, and like we talked about earlier with the fantasy, David Schultz playing well, tight ends playing well overall, wide receivers are able to get some work in there. But the one thing I want to look at is their defense has been able to get a lot of stops and a lot of big plays. Even though I just found out before we went to air that Jalen Smith just got cut by the Dallas Cowboys. Yeah, in a very surprising move, but we'll see if there's any other moves that are going to be happening before their Week 5 matchup against the Giants. So Giants, though, are a organization in disarray. Daniel Jones is not the answer at quarterback. This coaching staff is not the answer for the coaching staff. And I think the Giants are going to end up losing this one by a wide margin to the Cowboys as the Cowboys push themselves to 4-1. What are your thoughts, JDM?
I like the Cowboys as well. They are going to push themselves to 4-1. Dak Prescott will have himself a nice game. I do see that the New York Giants, I look at their stats, and guess what? They are awful on the outside. Their DBs and safeties are just atrocious right now. So I think Dallas is going to piss off lots of fantasy owners. And they're all of a sudden CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper are going to light it up. And everyone's going to be like, what the heck happened to Schultz? Well, he'll be back next week. No worries there. But the Dallas Cowboys definitely are going to roll through the Giants on this one. I mean, you're playing in Dallas on top of it, so It just doesn't look good for them. Next 425 game that I do like, you got the San Francisco 49ers at 2-2 going to the desert for the Arizona Cardinals, who are 4-0. Chris, what do you got?
I mean, looking at this one, Kyler Murray and company have been playing lights out offensively. They've been playing great defensively. It's been great to see Arizona really match right into what they are now. Cliff Kingsbury really getting it done over there. I think the Cardinals are going to be able to win this one. I think the 49ers will hang around, even though right now they're trying to figure out their quarterback situation. Jimmy G possibly able to go in this one. If not, it'll be Trey Lance. But either way, I think it will not be enough against the Cardinals, and the Cardinals end up winning this one to push themselves to 5-0, one of the only undefeateds left in the league. What do you think, JDM?
100%. They are going to be a Super Bowl contender this year, because it's not just on the offensive side of the ball, it's also on the defensive side of the ball. They're playing solid defense. I'd love to see San Francisco roll out Trey Lance, though. If there's a game to do it, you do it against Kyler Murray, because it's like another clone of himself, and let him showcase it, because Kyler Murray has been not only just a fantasy beast, but he has been a beast, period. In terms of game management, in terms of knowing when to slide, knowing when to run. I mean, heck, last game you expected more from him, but he focused on the game plan. He knew giving the rock to James Conner and Chase Edmonds was the way to go, and just let it keep going. And so he showed that he can game manage. He's dynamic as hell, but he showed that he can game manage, and that just makes him an elite caliber quarterback right now. So definitely Cardinals.
Absolutely. Have to agree 100%. But looking at our Sunday night game, we have the 3-1 Buffalo Bills taking on the 2-2 Kansas City Chiefs. Who thought we'd be saying that at this point? 2-2 for Kansas City. Kansas City running into some roadblocks between the Chargers, and I can't even remember right now who else they lost to right now. But it's just been crazy to see what has happened to this team to this point. I honestly expected more out of Patrick Mahomes and company. Patrick Mahomes making some uncharacteristic mistakes, no-look interceptions, just craziness. And the defense has been letting up points, which has also been surprising. I think, though, when you look at the Bills side, Josh Allen's playing very spirited ball, being able to get the ball to Stephon Diggs like it's nobody's business. Even the running game's been having some success, but the defense is also coming through huge for them. And I think the Bills, after suffering their week 1 loss, have been able to get on a good roll. And I think the Bills are going to be able to keep that roll going and be able to avenge that AFC title game that they ended up losing to the Chiefs and be able to win and push themselves to 4-1. What do you think, JDM?
I'm going to have to go and disagree. The Bills Mafia, break as many tables as you want. Call the Dudley Boys. It's not going to be enough. Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes, it's Sunday night, man. He loves this moment. And you know what he hasn't done is he hasn't keyed on hitting Travis Kelce. It's been consistent, but no blow-up game yet. Look for Travis Kelce to eat up that middle of the field. And if Patrick Mahomes can stay away from trying to be a dynamic, crazy, no-look passer and game manage a little bit more, Kansas City Chiefs take this. And I expect Andy Reid to kind of bring him back in a little bit. I really do think Andy Reid's looking at him going, okay, buddy, I let you off the leash a little bit, but guess what? It's retractable. It's got to come back a little bit. So we're going to come back. We're going to game manage. We're going to run the ball, and we're going to hit our tight end. And that is going to be the difference. This is going to be a phenomenal game. Kansas City with an ending field goal on Sunday night.
Oh, man, that'd be absolutely insane. And we'll definitely see what we got. We've been having some good Sunday night football games recently, so I definitely expect this one to be up there as well. But looking at our last game in the slate, the Monday night game between the 1-3 Indianapolis Colts and the 3-1 Baltimore Ravens. JDM, who do you got in this one?
I got to go with the Ravens. Lamar Jackson has played extremely well. More importantly, the Ravens defense has played a little bit better than expected. Nobody really thought that they would play with such speed. Usually it's all power, but they've come with a little bit of speed these games. I like Lamar Jackson. I like what he's doing. And I really think that just the Colts won't have an answer for him. The Colts defense is going to hold up their end of the bargain till about the third quarter. And then all of a sudden, they're just going to be too tired of being out there on Monday night, over and over again, chasing Lamar Miller, or excuse me, Lamar Miller, listen to me, Lamar Jackson everywhere. They're going to get tired as hell, of chasing this guy around. And eventually they're just going to crack. It's going to be a little bit closer than you think, but the Ravens will pull it out in the fourth because Colts defense is going to be exhausted. Carson Wentz, how many 3-and-outs did he do in Philly? He's notorious for that. He's not going to keep the, Ravens offense off the field. He's going to just keep giving them more and more. That defense of the Colts, they're going to freaking egg Carson Wentz after, 5 3-and-outs in the fourth quarter.
Well, you say the fourth quarter. I'm going to say it's going to be halfway through the game. Once you hit that second half, I think the Ravens are going to tamper down and are going to cause a lot of problems for Carson Wentz. I think the Ravens win this by at least 10 points, if not more. And Carson Wentz just not necessarily getting it done for the Colts. So the Ravens defense, like I said, it's going to give him a lot of problems. You give him problems, they're going to have to rely on some type of run game. That's going to fail. It's just not going to be good for the Colts. Ravens win it, man.
No.
Ravens win it.
It's not going to be good. It's not going to be good. Carson Wentz is not getting it done, but there's something that always gets it done, and that's Podcast City Network.
That's right.
Did you know that, Chris? Podcast City Network has been getting it done for centuries these days. I'm just going to say that because why not? FinalScore is also a proud member of Podcast City Network. Podcast City Network has 20 independent podcast members across all genres of podcasting. Find PCN on all major media platforms: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, the website podcastcity.net. Just type it in that little search bar. It pops up no matter what you know. We are always looking for interested podcast hosts and content creators to join the network. But we understand that may not be what you're looking for right now. Maybe you just need a new logo, an intro, outro, video, music for your show, live stream hosting for live broadcasters, voiceover work, or just some one-on-one consulting. No matter the need, we have you covered. Just go to podcastcity.net/services and fill out the contact form for an estimate so we can help you reach your podcasting goals. Be creative, be independent, be yourself. Podcast City Network.
Yeah, buddy. Great stuff. Which means now it's time to talk about a 10.
That'd be a good audio clip, right? A 10.
Oh, that would be good. But it's now time to talk our NHL preview. A lot of great stuff happening. Hockey is back. Going to be a lot of great stuff. And I wanted, since I had you on the show, I definitely wanted to get your thoughts on some aspects of the NHL season that we can be looking at going forward. And the big one I want to see is who's our playoff contenders? What teams are we looking at to actually make the playoffs this year?
Well, for starters, it is a brand new NHL season. The divisions have realigned again. They go back to the old ways, right? So before last year, we had that whole Canadian division. Guess what? That's no longer around. The divisions are back to the old ways, and we also have Seattle, an expansion team that has joined the Pacific Division. Arizona has moved from the Pacific to the Central, or whatever the hell you want to call it these days. Yeah, it's the Central now. But also, let's not forget that my beer league team is in the championship. We play on Thursday. That's the big playoff game right there.
Yeah,
so
buddy.
I'm going to be lighting it up. I'm just fired up for hockey overall.
Oh, man, would you say that your love for it would be...
It's over 9,000!
100%, man. 100%. I'm super excited for this year. Lots of movement. Lots of crazy movement all over the place. On top of that, playoff contenders. Here's one that you didn't think was coming. The Chicago Blackhawks. They went out and traded in a very surprise move and got Marc-Andre Fleury. Now, everyone's like, well, Marc-Andre Fleury, flower power. He was in Pittsburgh, then he was in Vegas. Dude, the guy keeps going. The guy just keeps going. And if you've watched him in the preseason, he looks good. And he's going to get the Chicago Blackhawks into the playoffs. Not only that, they went out and got Seth Jones on the back end, one of the most dynamic young defensemen. He's in his prime. Columbus wasn't cutting it. They went out and got Seth Jones. You have one of the most dynamic power plays now in the NHL with Seth Jones at the point, Patrick Kane, who continues to light it up. You have a really big body in Kirby Doc, who's 6'8". This dude is a monster in front of the net. And he's got hands. Are you kidding me? On top of that, DeBrincat. Alex DeBrincat, his goal total continues to climb. And he's a young stud as well. Bring in Captain Sirius. He's back from a very serious heart condition that had him out all of last year. He is back playing. So that just is going to fuel the Chicago Blackhawks. So they are definitely a playoff contender. Now, let's not forget, there are two big playoff contenders right here in Florida. Yes, Tampa Bay, still a playoff contender. Sorry. They won a Stanley Cup again, went back-to-back. Sorry, I just can't. They were over the cap a little bit. Sorry. I can't help it. FTB still all the way. They're still a solid squad. You can't deny it. They're big on defense. They have one of the best goaltenders in the NHL. And, if Kucherov stays healthy throughout the year, and doesn't fake another hip injury, he'll be good to go. And Tampa Bay is going to be a big-time playoff contender along with the Florida Panthers. The Florida Panthers last year, that was their coming out party. That was their, hey, we're here. We're going to be a playoff contender. Tampa Bay's toughest test was against Florida in the first round last year. And all they did, all Florida did was go and get Jack Eichel's number one right winger from Buffalo and Sam Reinhart and put him with one of the best two-way centers in the game in Alexander Barkov. And these guys are just continuing to trend upwards. Bobrovsky is the big question in net, the $10 million goalie. We'll see how he does, but guess what? Spencer Knight is right there on his coattails, and he's ready to take that starting job if Bobrovsky doesn't come through. So it's a good 1-2 punch. Last year, we lost Aaron Ekblad, a really, really solid defenseman, to injury, so we didn't have him for much of the season. He's back. He's going to take another step forward, and it's that same core. This is rare. It's very similar to the Chicago Blackhawks, right? Mm-hmm. Same core group of guys still together and just adding different pieces. So definitely Florida is going to have some excellent, excellent hockey. Another big playoff contender, Colorado Avalanche. What did they do? Oh, I don't know. You're like, well, what the hell did they do? They got rid of their goalie, and everyone's going, what the hell is wrong with you? Well, they went out and signed Darcy Kemper from the Arizona Coyotes, who had a top 5 goaltender numbers on one of the worst teams in the NHL. And, he just went and joined one of the most prolific offenses in the NHL. What the hell do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, that's dynamic.
That's dynamic as hell. The Avs are definitely probably one of the favorites this year with that addition. Because Darcy Kemper, if he stays healthy, oh man, he puts up Vezina Trophy numbers in his sleep. He was just on a shitty team with the Arizona Coyotes and, was getting shelled 45 shots a game. That's not going to happen with Colorado. Not to mention, he'll actually have goal support from Nathan McKinnon and Mikko Rantanen and Gabriel Landeskog. And do I keep going? No, I'm not. Let's just stop there. Can't cut out the Jets and the New York Islanders. And, of course, you can't cut the Vegas Golden Knights. They're still going to be around with Mark Stone as captain, Alex Pietrangelo on the back end, Robin Leonard taking the stand as the number one goalie for Vegas. They still have a lot of dynamic players and a phenomenal top 6. Only big question for Vegas, and this will be my nice little segue for you, no center depth. You got to have center depth. You got to have 2 big centers that can play at both ends of the ice. These can't be centers that are only offensive minded. They got to play defense too. Mm-hmm. Best teams right now, what do they have? They have a center like Braden Point who can score and play D. He's with Tampa. Patrice Bergeron How many cups does that guy have? All right, for Boston, he's their number one center. That's what Anze Kopitar, even with LA, he's their number one center. They won a few cups with him because of that, offensively and defensively. St. Louis Blues, Ryan O'Reilly, the list goes on. Who the hell is in Vegas that's a good center? Chandler Stevenson?
Meh.
Who the hell is that guy? So I know him because I'm a hockey nut, but not going to happen, guys. So the Vegas Golden Knights, they're close to being a playoff pretender, where they'll make the playoffs but not make enough noise.
Speaking of pretenders, we got to talk about some of these playoff pretenders because there's a few teams, especially that I see that you have on here, that are somewhat surprising, and I definitely want to get your take on it. So let's go ahead and roll it out. Who are your playoff pretenders for this season?
Well, you know what, Chris? I want to know who on that list is the most surprising to you. We're going to start there. Who do you go? JDM, are you crazy? You have this team as a pretender? Who's the biggest surprise to you?
Well, you look at the Habs and the magical run they had last year. You don't think they're able to repeat that in any kind of way?
Negative. That is definitely one of my pretenders. Shea Weber, there's no certainty on what's going to happen with his career. Not just if he's playing next year. His career is definitely on the line right now with the list of injuries that he's going through. His hip, his leg, his back. He played through more injuries for that playoff run than anybody I've ever seen. And it was awesome. From a hockey standpoint, that dude, he was the pure captain. He shelled out like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But now his career could be in jeopardy. So there's really no telling with Shea Weber. I think that magical run, it was awesome to watch. It's very difficult to repeat something like that, especially when you lose to, Tampa Bay in the finals like that. Also on that list, the Seattle Kraken. And you're like, playoff pretender, Seattle Kraken? Yeah. Vegas Magic, lightning don't strike twice, man.
Mm-hmm.
All right. They're going to have a great team. They got some great players over there. It'll be fun to watch. It'll be great to have Seattle hockey for sure. The fans are going to be absolutely electric. It's going to be another great arena. Seattle Seahawks are solid fan base. You're going to have the fans. They're going to love this team. There's good hockey there. It's going to be a great rivalry. Seattle and Vancouver, they're an hour away from each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be an awesome, mix. But Vegas Magic don't strike twice, man. It's not going to happen. And a couple other pretenders there on my list. They're not necessarily pretenders, like they won't make the playoffs. I think these teams are good enough to make the playoffs, but I don't think they have anything after that. And that is the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Washington Capitals. Crosby and Ovi, they're going to set some records this year, for sure. They're going to definitely set some records in their careers, but they don't have enough pieces around them. I really think they don't have enough pieces around them. They've lost some pieces. Pittsburgh's goaltending is definitely a big question mark.
Oh, yeah.
And same with the Capitals' goaltending is a big question mark. Outside of John Carlson on the Capitals' blue line, there's nobody, that can really make an impact. So they're going to struggle a little bit. And then two teams in Toronto that continue to just piss me off as a hockey fan. You have the most dynamic players in the NHL on your squad, and management still just doesn't get it. They absolutely don't get it. And I'm talking about the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Edmonton Oilers. They just don't get it. You need goaltending. You had Frederick Anderson, Toronto, and you let him go to Carolina. Is Jack Campbell really the answer? You're going to tell me that this kid, Jack Campbell's the answer? Maybe in 3 or 4 years. So you're going to waste 3 or 4 years of Austin Matthews, John Tavares, Mitch Marner, and William Nylander's contracts. Get the hell out of here. On top of that, the Edmonton Oilers, Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, are each going to have 110 points this season. All right? They're going to break the 110 mark. and you have a 40-year-old goaltender and Mike Smith back there. That does not work, boys. Okay? That combination does not work. Not to mention, outside of Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid and Zach Hyman as that first line, who the hell is the rest on that team?
Yeah.
All right? In hockey, you need a good bottom six. You got your top six for scoring, right? But you need a bottom six. You need a bottom six to grind. You need a bottom six to change momentum and make a big hit. You need a bottom six to maybe shut down and tire out some of the stars defensively on the other side. What the hell? Edmonton and the Toronto, their management just doesn't get it. They think they're going to win a Stanley Cup, by scoring 130 points. It's not going to happen. Because if you get 140 scored on you, you're still screwed.
Very true. Very, very true. That was a lot of your pretenders, but now we got to kind of get down to the nitty gritty. And who do you think's going to win some of these divisions? Who are your division winners for this year?
Yeah, let's make some predictions, right? Let's do it. So division winners right now, I got in the Atlantic, I do have the Tampa Bay Lightning. They have a couple players on there that were on the third and fourth line, like Anthony Cicerelli, that are going to take another step up. And they are going to be a top 6 player. And you look at how big their defense is with Ryan McDonough, Victor Hagman, Cernak, and then on top of that, a Vezina goalie and Vasilevsky. Forget it. Tampa Bay does win. FTB does win that division in the Atlantic. I do have the Panthers in second and the Maple Leafs in third, rounding out that top 3 for that division. In the Metro division, I got the New York Islanders winning that division. They still have the same goalie duo. All right? That goalie tandem that they have out there is absolutely disgusting. And everybody hates playing against that system. They took Tampa to 7 games, not because of talent, but because of coaching. And in an 82-game season, that system will piss you off. So I definitely have the Islanders winning that division. They do get their captain back, who missed half of last season. And he's a phenomenal presence in front of the net with great hands. So I do have the Isles winning that division in the Metro. Carolina Hurricanes coming in second. Washington Capitals rounding it out in third. Now remember, the way the divisions are, you're going to have those wild card spots. So you have the top 3 from each division. So that's 6. And then you have 2 wild card spots. And those wild card spots can be from either division, from the Atlantic or from the Metro. And my wild card contenders are the Pittsburgh Penguins, the New York Rangers, and the Boston Bruins. Look out for the Rangers, guys. If one of their young goalies gets hot and you have Panarin and Zibanejad have a good year, and maybe that number 1 pick from last year takes another step up, they got a lot of firepower. They're going to be young, and they're going to not care. They're going to just have a lot of energy, and they can really surprise a few teams this year for sure. Moving on to our Central Division, right? That weirdo Central. You got the Colorado Avalanche. They're a big Stanley Cup favorite. They win that division for sure. The Winnipeg Jets are going to be a good surprise and come in second, with the St. Louis Blues in third. Blues still hanging around, good goaltending, good defense, and just a bunch of solid two-way players. They play on both ends of the ice for sure. The Jets, Vezina Trophy winning goaltender in Connor Hellebuyck. He's going to have himself another big year, and that definitely will be in the top 3 there. In the Pacific, this is the weakest division out of all of them. You got the Vegas Golden Knights, you have my massive pretenders in the Edmonton Oilers, and then you got the Calgary Flames. Definitely the Oilers are still pretenders, but guess what? If you do have Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, you're going to make the playoffs. These guys are too damn good. Now, regular season hockey and playoff hockey, they're two different seasons and they're different animals. You see it all the time. That's like saying, playoff football is different. It is, right? It definitely is. It gets harder, it gets meaner, it gets rougher, and the Oilers won't be able to hang. But they will make the playoffs, and they'll be a top 2 team. Wild card contenders out of those two divisions, the Nashville Predators, the Dallas Stars, and then those Chicago Blackhawks. They're definitely a dark horse as a Stanley Cup favorite. So that's something to keep in mind. So I do have Chicago Blackhawks and the Florida Panthers as my dark horses for Stanley Cup favorites. Those are the dark horses right there, because they're almost not there yet, but if lightning can strike, so to speak, and something clicks and you run into a hot goalie, anything can happen for those two teams. Other Stanley Cup favorites, though, like mentioned, I think before, you got the Colorado Avalanche, Carolina Hurricanes. Of course, you're defending back-to-back champions, the Tampa Bay Lightning, and, the Islanders and Vegas are those heavy favorites that everyone's talking about. But guess what, guys? It's hockey. Every year, back. It's hockey, and it's back, and it's on ESPN Plus and Hulu and TNT, and it's everywhere. Turn on a channel. Guess what? There's going to be some good hockey on. So definitely, Final Score fans, tune in, and you see my mug a lot more, because I'm going to be bringing that heat with all the hockey content.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I know I'm excited. Maybe my Philadelphia Flyers could actually wake up and do something. Looking okay in the preseason so far, though. But, hey, it's preseason. Who cares? So
exactly. Ask Gritty. It's the preseason. The points don't matter. So.
Yeah, exactly. Points don't matter. Records don't matter. None of the games really matter. Oh, man. But it's great to have hockey back, and we're going to get back in the swing of things here soon, so it's going to be awesome. Just like City Limits Tap Room. Don't know what I'm talking about? Well, you need to go to 2620 North Woodland Boulevard in beautiful DeLand, Florida, and check out all the great things they have going on, including the great venue for music, the full craft beer and liquor bar, as well as the great food, all the TVs with all the sports you could want. Of course, they also have all the great specials that they run every single day of the week, including Monday with all-day $6 wing baskets and $5 pitchers of Yingling, Land Shark, and Busch Light. Tuesday is Guys Night with half off all wells and drafts from 7 p.m. to close. Wednesdays all-day $5 pitchers of the posted beer from 2 p.m. to close, and $2 seltzers at the outside bar. Thursdays Ladies Night with $1 wines, wells, and drafts from 7 p.m. to close. And Fridays Karaoke with Al from 7 p.m. to close. And of course Sunday $13 domestic buckets and $16 import and craft buckets all day long. So go check out City Limits Tap Room in beautiful DeLand, Florida, which now means that it is time for Meme Madness, and I definitely got some good ones that we curated for this week. I'm really excited to show these ones off, and we're going to start with our very first one with the Panthers giving Christian McCaffrey 59 touches in 2 weeks, including carries on the final drive last week of 26-7 with the Thursday night game coming up. Christian McCaffrey gets hurt. Panthers are surprised. Come on. You can't be surprised you give a guy that many touches.
Come on, man. Yeah, how many are you going to give him that many touches? I mean, of course Pikachu's surprised. I'm surprised.
Absolutely, man. That's what's so crazy to me. It's just ridiculous. But, hey, maybe they'll learn their lesson eventually. Who knows? Yeah, we'll see. But our next one is a new profile pic for Justin Forsett. He says, he don't make the law. He just enforce it.
That's just a classic dad joke right there, man.
Oh.
Like, that's just dad joke meme right there. That's as good as you can get when it comes to a dad joke, bro.
Oh, yeah, to the max. Our next one, there's a live look-in on Justin Tucker, and yeah, I think that's pretty accurate right now after you set the record for longest field goal in NFL history.
Not to mention that he beat his own record. Like, so then you're really letting him hang, right? Like, you're just really just putting him out there. Like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm gonna beat my own damn record.
And you know what I love more is the bounce. The bounce in was the best part. Just,
of course, that was great.
I think that was just for the Detroit Lions fans, you know, having to suffer in misery like, I mean, they always do. So, you know. But our next one, when your dad drags you away from Fortnite to watch this ass whipping, a picture of this dad and his son at the Cincinnati Bengals Pittsburgh Steelers game. And yeah, it's not been good for Steelers fans so far. Been really bad.
It's been bad, but that's how you lose a fan, man. That's how you lose fans. You can't just drag them away. For that, he would have just stayed on Fortnite and gotten pwned there instead.
Yeah, exactly. At least he would have some control in the situation.
Right.
Our next one, though, is remember when Russell Wilson got drafted and his girl at the time thought she hit the jackpot?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. She I didn't see her at the Met Gala. I didn't see her there.
No, I didn't see her.
I saw somebody else.
Yeah, I think
I saw somebody else was wearing his Super Bowl ring.
Super Bowl ring and dress rendition of his jersey as well. So, you know.
Yeah.
But our next one says, "Hey Eli, how many times did you beat Tom Brady in the Super Bowl?" Yes, that is twice. That is two middle fingers. So
I have to give it up to ESPN. After 100+ years, they finally got it right with a show.
Yes.
They finally got it right. I mean, I wonder who told them. I'm thinking it was probably the execs over at PCN FinalScore that slipped them this information and said, "Hey, we should really put Eli and Peyton in a room together and just have them talk football."
Oh, yeah, and see what happens. This is what you get. The thing that our first FCC crackdown came via Eli Manning, so...
Exactly.
Oh, it's too good. It's too good. But looking at our next one, you need to get someone who looks at you like Sean McVay looks at Matthew Stafford.
Sean McVay must be like, finally, he can read the playbook.
Yes, he knows what the defense is doing.
He knows how to read a playbook. Oh my god.
Oh my goodness. It's so great. Our next one, though, says, "Nah, you got to retire from football after a pick like this." And yeah, Mac Jones looking like a little scaredy cat in this one. This is too good.
I think he was worried about his hand. I mean, he's kind of thinking, "Oh, I can't break my hand on somebody's helmet in the first freaking game." Like, come on.
Yeah, right?
So.
Oh, man. Our next one, though, says, "The Buccaneers are starting to look like someone got their mom's credit card to buy packs in Madden," which, I mean, after the addition of Richard Sherman, I mean, you can't argue with that.
No, I'm wondering, do you think they'll bring back Barry Sanders next? Like, that'll be a good... You always find that pack, right, in Madden, is that legend Hall of Fame pack. He never retired, so why not?
It's a good point. That is a very good point. Oh, it's too good. But our last one of the evening says, "When you could have just retired instead of being the worst quarterback in the division." And yeah, we feel that pain for you, Ben Roethlisberger. You probably should have retired. Just saying.
Yep. It's unfortunate for the guy. It's one of those situations where you think, man, I could gut it out one more. No, I can't.
I think I can. I think I can. I think I can't.
No. Unfortunate for him. I mean, he's crying, but guess what, fans? You don't have to cry. You don't. You don't have to cry. All you got to do is join Podcast City Network. Have you always wanted to start a podcast? I know you have, but didn't know how? Do you already have a podcast but don't know how to grow it? Are you trying to find ways to make your podcast more profitable? You can learn to do it here at Podcast City Network. Remember, we offer consultant services and tutorial classes to help with learning to better expand your knowledge and to grow your show. We also give you access to our network of shows to help with cross-promotion, guests, and overall reach, while also becoming a part of our ever-expanding PCN community based on people helping people. The best part is no membership fee. So what are you waiting for? Go to podcastcity.net/join now and join the fastest growing independent podcast around, Podcast City Network.
Yeah, buddy. Good stuff. Which now means it's time for the good old Give or Go. And we got a few good topics set up for this week. Starting first, if I get everything together here, Vegas Golden Knights Robin Leonard accuses NHL teams of medical malpractice. Give or go, JDM?
You know I'm gonna give on that. I'm gonna go. Excuse me. I'm gonna go. Let's go on this. All right. Robin Leonard telling it like it freaking is. All right. Just letting people know, hey, guess what? This happens. And what's happening with Jack Eichel is an absolute travesty.
Mm-hmm.
All right. This guy is one of the best natural talents that we've had in the NHL. And the Buffalo Sabres are using him as a massive chip and just, claiming, oh, well, you can't do this surgery because we said so. How hard is it for Jack Eichel, who's already got millions in the bank, to say, all right, well, I'm signing a waiver and you don't pay me? Like, fine, keep it. Just let me do the surgery. I want to go back and play. I want to be able to play freaking hockey, the sport that I've been playing since I was 2-3 years old, and been trying to get my entire life into the NHL.
Mm-hmm.
And Leonard is always been a guy that will speak out and speak his mind. He's done it before, and saying that I believe as players we have to stand up, and if something's wrong, we're gonna say it. No matter if we're enemies on the ice at times, it doesn't matter. The hockey players are always a huge, huge, huge community, And if you're getting treated wrong and it's not good for your health and the treatment's bad and they're giving you shit that they shouldn't be giving you just to kind of, rub it away and make it go away, I'm glad it's being called out on. I mean, how many times did Crosby not get a concussion and they actually sent him back out before it was allowed? They've done it to him multiple times. And it hurt his career. He's going to retire sooner than he should, probably. So I'm glad Leonard said something, and it needed to be said. And hopefully something gets done in the next, negotiation with the players' union in the NHL.
Yeah, you ain't lying. Definitely kind of a crazy situation, but it's totally right when you really think about it. So definitely an interesting one. But moving on to our next one, the Clemson Tigers are out of the AP Top 25 for the first time since 2014. Give or go?
Go ahead, and I'm going to give this one to you.
Oh, yeah.
You go on this one, bud.
Oh, man.
And break out your boycott NCAA college playoff shirt. And let's do it. Go ahead.
Oh, man. Yeah, it's absolutely crazy to see Clemson fall from grace as hard as they have after the loss to Georgia and then the huge overtime loss to NC State, falling completely from grace, not able to reload and prove that they are like Alabama. DJ Ugalele not getting the job done whatsoever. Will Shipley, though, looking decent, but obviously he's a freshman. He's not going to be able to have all the answers for you. And this defense not able to stop teams that they absolutely should be able to. Clemson, I'm sorry, your window, I think, has now closed. So just get used to the fact that, yeah, you might get back into the top 25, but you're not going to be living in the top 4 like you have been for years. So this day eventually was going to come at some point. I'm honestly shocked it took as long as it did, but here we are. And Clemson is outside of the top 25.
Yeah, they're outside of the top 25. Not everybody gets lucky like Alabama and just continues to reload. Not everybody's made a deal with the devil like Nick Saban.
Yeah.
So, my curiosity, though, is head coaching. Does he stick around or does he try to go pro? I've wondered that. And I hope he sticks around, to be honest, because he's always been a college football coach. I don't see him being successful in pro. That's his style, is being a college football coach. I want to see him rebuild Clemson for ACC's sake and, give the ACC something, because the ACC is right now, give me, I don't know, WAC conference over the ACC at this point.
You ain't lying, man. You ain't lying. And I would hate to see him go pro, because I feel like at this point this is what's tarnishing Urban Meyer's legacy. I wouldn't want to see Dabo get put into a similar situation, because if he got picked up, it's probably gonna be by a crappy team, and now he's gonna be tasked with having to rebuild within the bounds of something that honestly he doesn't understand, because he's been a college coach for as long as he has. So I don't think it would work out well. I kind of hope he stays in the college ranks as well, but who knows? Who knows? Maybe another job might attract him away as well. There's other openings out there, especially the USC opening that's sitting there. You never know. You never know. Never, ever know.
100%. You never know, but we'll see what happens. Hopefully Clemson returns to grace, but they're going to need to rebuild.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But our last give or go, Denver Broncos coach Vic Fangio slams the Baltimore Ravens' pursuit of rushing record in the final seconds of the game, which, if you don't know what we're talking about, the Ravens had a record going on that they just tied with the last 5-yard rush that they had of the game to have 43 consecutive 100-yard rushing games as a team, which is huge, honestly. And Denver Broncos coach Vic Fangio just didn't like it. So, I mean, we're already talking about it, so we're going to go ahead. We're going to go on this one, but I want to get your thoughts on this one, JDM.
Denver Broncos head coach, let me just, clue you in a little something here. Records are made to be broken, all right? Get over yourself. This is the NFL. This is the Pro League, all right? You're going to sit there and tell me that the Michael Strahan record-breaking sack on Brett Favre wasn't a gimme? Yeah, no, it was. Strahan blew through the line, and Brett Favre just kind of huddled up and let him, kind of sack him. It's going to happen, right? And Ravens going for this record, did it blow you out even more? No, man, it was 5 freaking yards. Like, good on the Ravens and the head coaching staff and saying, you know what, we deserve this damn thing, even if we just tie it, right? And we don't get the 100 yards next game, even if we just tie it, we owe it to our O-line. We owe it to our O-line coaching staff to at least keep it going and try for next week to see if we can do it again. I think Vic is just being a big old baby about it, man. I really do.
I have to agree.
Come on. There are records that are so close that you want to see them broken. Let's just defend Vince Carter when he goes up for like his last shot as a pro and completely contest it and get up in his face or foul him so he doesn't have that moment. Like, really? You're gonna come on, dude. Go back into time, look at all sports history. There have been plenty of sportsmanship moments where people allowed, or not like in a bad way, right? But allowed for like a certain record to get there. So that way it's done and you give that nod to that professional. For breaking a record in sports. It's very difficult to do. It's very difficult to do. So it's just, I think it's just a baby moment from him. Dude, get over yourself. You're 3-1.
Yeah, for real. And, I liked Harbaugh's response after the game saying, is he really upset about that? Like, really? And told him, it's like not like you're going to get a magical 16-point play or something to try and come back in this game. So why do you care?
No, absolutely. And, it didn't affect the game. You get me? It didn't affect the game one bit, right? But it was a nod to an accomplishment for the Baltimore Ravens. And more importantly, not a nod for Jackson, but a nod for the O-line. That's how you get
the most selfless people on the field.
Yeah, exactly. A nod for the O-line? I mean, come on, dude. Get out of here.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. But that was our give or go. We thank you guys so much for listening to it, which now means it is time to talk a little bit about Podchaser, because Apple Podcasts is no longer the only credible source for podcast discovery. You can follow creators, browse every podcast ever, and rate and review episodes. Just go to podchaser.com and search keyword FinalScore, one word, and follow, rate, and review us. That does now bring us to the week ahead, which we have, of course, all the NFL Week 5 action that we gave our predictions on. So definitely make sure to check back next week so you can see how we did, as well as all the NCAA college football Week 6 action. You can definitely check out all of our games to watch, including that Penn State-Iowa game, which I think is going to be a classic, as well as all the great PCN Sports lineup of shows, which there's so many good ones. Do you have any information on Not a Hockey Market podcast there, JDM?
You bet I do. We got a new season of Not a Hockey Market podcast coming up for the NHL season. We will be switching to audio formats, so you can catch us on at Not a Hockey Market podcast on Instagram, and you can also find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, and a bunch of wherever you get your audio podcasts. All right, wherever you listen in, you can hear my voice yelling at you about some hockey. Not to mention, I do have a nice little announcement. The Couch Dads podcast is also making a very nice return with a dad meme contest. That's right. In a bracket of 16, we got a dad meme contest. So go to Instagram, go to @CouchDadsPodcast, and be sure to vote for your favorite dad memes that are out there. But more importantly, vote for mine.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Gotta vote for JDM. But you definitely need to make sure to check out the rest of our PCN Sports lineup, including the Nest podcast, the Rip Griffin Show, the Sportszilla podcast, and Fixed Edge. Definitely make sure to check out all of them on all of their outlets. Give them a like, give them a follow, give them a subscribe, and help support the PCN Sports lineup. And, of course, you can check out the next episode of Final Score, episode 124, next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern on Facebook Live. Definitely going to be a good one, and we're definitely going to be, I can't wait to see how our predictions go this week. I need a rebound from the 7-9 last week, man.
I think you got some good picks in there. We'll see how it goes, but more importantly, let's try to get a win. Let's try to get a fantasy football win, because, man, I can't take this beating anymore. I just can't, Chris. I can't. We need to put some sage or some good juju out there or something.
Some white salt around the house.
Something, bro. Something. But more importantly, you got to check out this lineup of PCN community. Nest, Rip Griffin, Sportszilla, Fixed Edge. So many great shows. So thrilled to be back coming in and guest hosting with you, bud. So definitely
been awesome, and we thank you all for watching the show tonight. JDM, we thank you so much for joining. Any last words, my friend?
Yeah, I got a few last words. Let's hope I have a better week this year so my wife doesn't beat me in fantasy football again. I'm JDM. That's Chris. We'll definitely see you for next week's show for episode 124 of Final Score.
Yep, you heard it from him. Y'all have a good night.